Occasionally, life brings us to unexpected crossroads, where change is possible in the tiniest things. This is Finn's life story in its entirety. Lucky and homeless boy, a stray dog with eyes the color of amber, two single souls in the middle of the city, who found each other. It was impossible for anyone to predict that a winter night in a tiny alley shade would signal the start of an enduring friendship. A boy who was having a hard time finding purpose in life saw a dog with an injury, and at that very moment, they became a source of hope for one another. However, the tale doesn't stop there. Finn had no lucky idea. In reality, his faithful companion was a thief. Robert Downey Jr.'s beloved dog, the famous movie star, in the world appearance of a random encounter start an emotional adventure where connection and kindness come from, not only changed Finn and Lucky's lives, however, it also sparked something even more unusual. Participate in Finn and Lucky's story to learn how a dog and a boy work altered one another's lives and the world beyond them. Let's get started. The city was illuminated by dim yellow street lights. Deep in the early winter chill, a skinny boy who was tired and his unkempt hair, the streets were lined with sunning eyes. Staying away from the various glances and lively laughter overflowing from the upscale stores lined the road on both sides. 3 years had passed since Finn's life changed. From a child who lived in a tiny but cozy house following the death of his mother, he had been homeless. His father vanished like if he were a ghost. Going alone to face the cold world without Finn wandering the streets for years had got him survival skills. However, he was robbed of his faith in humanity. That night, Finn was looking for somewhere to spend the night. The underpass, there was a familiar spot close to the old train station. A place where he could be secured from the wind and use cardboard to set up a makeshift home. However, once he became his normal self, he stopped when he heard an odd sound. It sounded like a faint cry for assistance. Finn slowly moved in the direction of the sound. A street light in the dim glow, he noticed a dog curled up next to a trash pile. Its white and black fur was covered with blood and mud. Additionally, it had one hind leg bent at an odd angle. The amber-colored eyes were staring at Finn. Both pleading and wary, murmured, "What happened to you?" He crouched down and dared not approach. Fearful of bringing the dog home, rather, he took a seat on the ground, gently talking to it and maintaining a safe distance. "I won't hurt you, so don't worry." The dog growled weakly. However, its eyes never failed to find Finn rummage through his coat pocket after a while. "I took out the final piece of bread. He had been putting money aside for tomorrow." "Huh, you must be hungry." He set the bread down on the floor. In return, a few steps, the dog cautiously sniffed the air. Then it moved slowly in the direction of the bread and took it. Finn grinned faintly in relief as his jaws trembled. "Well done. Now allow me to assist you." He took a closer look at the dog's injury. Its hind leg was severely bleeding. Moreover, the wound seemed impacted. This, Finn said, must be fixed firmly. He took off his previous scarf in order to create a temporary bandage. It was torn into strips. Using the last of his bottle's water, he wiped the wound clean. While working, he spoke soothing words. Despite whimpering, the dog did not resist. After completed bandaging, it slightly waggled its tail. Its appreciative gaze made Finn's ear twitch. "A name must be," Finn said, smiling thinly across his gaunt face. "What about Lucky?" "Because we will be all right because you found me." Finn chose to go to the underpass with Lucky. It wasn't much of a shelter, but if nothing else, he could keep the dog safe overnight. He found more old clothing and cardboard. Tio, designate a tiny corner where Lucky can rest. Taking a seat next to the dog, he stroked its head tenderly. "Together, we'll overcome this, Lucky." Finn didn't sleep that night. He kept an eye on Luck. His gaze remained focused on the dog's irregular breathing. Fearing that it might disappear, even though he was physically exhausted, I experienced a strange warmth. Something he hadn't felt for years in his heart. As the morning's first rays, speeding light through the cracks the Lucky Bridge, opened its eyes beneath it. Finn's gaze was no longer wary, But brimming with unwavering faith, Finn had a smile and felt as though a part of himself had been found. The day's subsequence signified the start of an unbreakable bond between Finn and in good luck. Each morning, in order to look for food, Finn woke up before dawn. It was far from safe in the underpass they called home. Finn was always moving Lucky by his side at all time, notwithstanding its lingering leg. Lucky was never far from Finn. One chilly morning, Finn rummaged through a restaurant's dumpster. "I'm looking for anything edible." That day, luck seemed to elude him. Only empty containers and spoiled food were kept in the bin. Unknowingly, Finn's gaze collides with Lucky's. The dog's amber eyes watched him from a few steps away. Overwhelming silent anticipation, a bit longer heart sank for Finn. He spoke to himself as much as he spoke to Luck. Having made up his mind, he ventured forward into the bustling streets. During this time, stores were only starting to open. Occasionally passers by his look of pity or contempt despite being accustomed to it. Finn was fortunate to have him. Increased the bearability of the loneliness. Finally, a good woman gave him a sandwich. Beyond words, "I'm grateful." I rushed back to Lucky. "A half sandwich breaking, you need it more than I do. So you eat first." He grinned as Lucky started eating slowly. These kinds of moments helped Finn realize that in years, for the first time, he was not living for himself alone. He was now a member of Lucky's family. Lucky's injuries begin to heal. The dog wasn't just intelligent. Finn noted it seems to have received prior training. Finning one afternoon, mindfully absent to make room for sleeping, place a stick there. In order to surprise him, Lucky darted onward, retrieved the stick, and carried it back. This game, Finn laughed. He made a sound that he hadn't done in a while. Once more, he threw the stick, and Lucky retrieved it every time. Despite its impact, "You're really fortunate. Did you formerly belong to someone?" The idea caused Finn to pause. This dog was different from the stray dogs he had previously seen. Something about Lucky was unique. Its disciplined behavior and intelligent eyes, however, Finn wasn't really interested in it. Maybe, he told himself, perhaps fortune was a gift from fate, a means of paying for every injustice one night life had dealt with him. Lucky and Finn were sleeping beneath the bridge. They were startled awake by heavy footsteps. Finn's heart was thumping. A drunk man with a menacing look was seen by him. Getting close to the "Hey kid, I like this spot," where the man slurred angrily. The man wasn't paying attention when Finn tried to explain. Suddenly, as he stepped closer, Lucky stood up, getting weak, but growing fiercely. The man hesitated at the sound. He sneered, yet when he was Lucky, he took a step forward. Finn, the man, reconsidered. Ready to defend eventually, muttering curses, he turned and left. Finn breathed shakingly. "I'm saving you, buddy," by patting Lucky's head. "I owe you one since that evening." Lucky wasn't merely a friend. However, Finn's protector, as well as sense of security, was provided by the dog's loyalty. In a world where danger reigns, Finn and Lucky passed by a park one day. Compared to the gritty streets they knew, it was a stark contrast. Affluent households walked their well-groomed pets. Moreover, kids ran and played on the lush green grass. Finn remained motionless. Longing filled his eyes. He pondered whether he and Lucky's life would never be like that. Identifying Finn's mood, Lucky rested his head against his leg gently, providing comfort in silence. Stroking the dog's head, Finn knelt. "I'll be all right, Lucky. We will own a home Sunday. A settlement in which we actually belong." Finn was unaware that things were going to change in their lives. They were always anticipating an unexpected event, one who would guide them on a unique adventure. Gradually, the freezing winter days came to an end, and Lucky and Finn carried on with their wandering lives. Nevertheless, the difficulties didn't lessen. Finn saw a shift in himself. The presence of Luck was like a beacon of light, reasoning for him to continue hoping. However, everything started to change. When a fortunate finding Lucky and Finn for a new journey, an early morning Lucky and Finn travel their usual streets. Finn's attention was caught by something the poles of utility. Additionally, fresh flyers were plastered onto bulletin boards. When he stopped being curious, he drew nearer. A photo of a dog that was exactly like Lucky was on the flyer, featuring striking amber eyes and black and white fur. The red bold headline, "Lost Dog, Thor Reward $50,000, a phone number and contact address" were below it. With his heart pounding, Finn gazed at the flyer. He was lucky to have someone sit next to him. It tilts its head as though it's also curious. "Have you been Thorfinned?" The dog did not respond. However, its perceptive eyes appear to hold the truth. Finn froze. If Luck was indeed a thief. Afterwards, the dog belonged to a person. Very wealthy people and ready to spend money to get it home. Finn's life could be changed by that kind of money. However, the idea of parting ways with Lucky, it seemed as if he had lost a piece of himself. Finn kept thinking about the flyer all day. Perching in the park's corner, his mind was ripped apart when he struck Lucky's fur. "They must be really missing you if you are indeed a Thor." His voice broke as he spoke. Lucky, amazed by him's trust, ignorant of the challenging choice Finn was having a hard time with. The possibilities were too great for Finn to ignore. The reward, cash, may bring a resistant settlement for clean clothes, possibly even the opportunity to return to school. However, he was also aware that money couldn't buy friendship. He and Lucky had constructed after inner turmoil days. Finn chose to phone the phone on the flyer. Upon the line's connection to a warming hello, polite voice answered. "This is Robert Downey Jr.'s office." I can't believe his ears. "How can I help you?" "Have you mentioned Robert Downey Jr.? "Yes," he hammered. The man responded that he was looking for his dog trainer. "Do you know anything?" "Finally, I think I've found a Thor." After a quick quiet, the other end's voice got excited. "Is Mr. Downey sincere? He will be incredibly appreciative. Please let us know where you are, and we'll come right away." Arrival of the meeting day quicker than Finn anticipated. He stood in a quiet corner of the street, tightly clutching Lucky's leash. The door of a sleek black car opened as it pulled up. Robert Downey Jr. is the exception. Robert walked with hope in his eyes. He called Thor. Lucky's ears lighted up and perked up. The dog lunged at its previous owner, angry tail wagging on. Robert knelt, securing Thor in a firm hold. His face was beaming with emotion and joy. Finn endured his heartache freezing as he observed Lucky's joy with its former owner. In order to avoid Robert's stare, he lowered his head. "The dog sustained an injury. I only wanted to assist when I discovered it." Softly, he said. Robert looked up. Gratitude filled his eyes. "You have accomplished more than that. Without you, I have no idea what might have happened to Thor." "I'm grateful, young man." Robert's thank you quickly got inquisitive about Finn's life. Upon discovering Finn's homelessness, he made the decision to do more than just give a reward. "Are you in need of a place to stay?" Robert asked if we could set you up with a job, and I have no doubt that Thor would enjoy seeing you frequently. Finn was astonished by the proposal. Initially, he glanced at Robert, then at Lucky. Or, as he now realized, the dog was actually called. However, the idea that he might not always have Luck on his side hurt him. Finn was aware that he couldn't pass up this chance. A portion for himself, and a portion for good fortune, a home with a true owner who deserved to live in it. "Many thanks." Sir Finn's voice was trembling. "I'll give it my all." Robert smiled on Finn's shoulder with a reassuring hand. "You are an amazing young man. Remember that." Finn started a new era in his life where he had been hardship. Stability gradually replaced them, and hope. Yet this change was anything from simple. It was a world he had to learn to navigate. Totally different from what he was aware of, a world packed with opportunities and more, but also with fresh difficulties. Finn was transferred to a isolated suburban area. Robert Downey Jr.'s where had a gigantium estate, a grand mansion and lush gardens. Complete a section of the area was devoted to a facility that provides canine care. And Finn would work there. Robert decided getting to know and being near lucky day one for him, it seemed to Finn that he had entered a different world. The rooms are spacious and have luxurious furnishings, and the estate staff kindness, astonished and cautious. Despite Robert's constant warmth and approachability, Finn was unable to assist with feeling uncomfortable. In such consequences, Blesto, be called Thor again, remained by Finn's side at all times. The boy was never forgotten by the dog, who had supported him in hard times. Every time I felt lost, the recognizable expression in Lucky's amber eyes reassured him, and the wag of his tail, the canine care facility's work, became to be Finn's most reliable source of comfort. Under Sarah's direction, a courtesy and skilled manager, not just Lucky, Finn learned how to care for. However, a lot of other dogs, he realized quickly that every dog had distinct needs and a personality of its own. Finn, you possess a rare gentle touch and a kind heart. One day, Sarah made a note. He learned how to bathe a shy dog from her. Feeling proud of himself, Finn smiled. In a long time, for the first time, the job was more than just a livelihood. He got a sense of purpose from it. A sentiment that he had lost years before. Despite his new life's promise, the occasional pang of nostalgia was something Finn couldn't avoid. For the times when he and Luck are together, travel the streets with each other, he would occasionally sit quietly with Lucky, stroking the soft fur of the dog, remembering the difficulties they have overcome alone. Remember those chilly evenings beneath the bridge? Lucky, Finn inquired. He barely raised his voice above a whisper. Lucky cocked his head as though he understood. Now, we have a warm place. However, I will always remember what we went through. In addition to reminding Finn of his harsh past, those memories but also helped him to appreciate what was there. Despite this, life had changed. He never forgot his identity or his origins. Robert once asked Finn to meet with him for a study. Taking a seat behind a big desk, Robert smiled amiably as he greeted him. Finally, you've done a fantastic job. I have a small gift for you, he said. Finn's eyes widened. Upon placing a small box on the desk, Robert, when I opened it, I discovered a leather dog collar. Lucky engraved with a name. He looked up in amazement. You will always be fortunate. Robert smiled as he spoke. Thor may be his real name. However, I believe you should get something. To reminder your unique link with him. Finn was too emotional to talk. He firmly grasped the collar, having the impression that he was clinging to among his life's most treasured memories. As time went on, Finn and Lucky became closer than before. Despite spending a lot of time with Robert, Lucky the dog consistently managed to find a way to get back to Finn. When would he be able to keep their friendship intact? Despite the fact that everything else had changed around them, Finn started to visit that life goes beyond surviving hardships. However, it's also about creating a future. With the assistance of Robert for the support of new friends, he began considering going back to school and carrying on with his self-discovery journey. The future appears more promising than before. Additionally, for the first time in years, I was genuinely touched by the unwavering presence of Luck. Reminded him of the force that had protected them up to this point, and along with they anticipate the adventures that lie ahead. Over time at Robert Downey, Finn gradually adapted to his new life. JR's estate. From the difficulties of street living, he now had to deal with the difficulty of adjusting to a wholly different science, a dream of which he had never dared. However, there were certain challenges during this transition. As Finn faced the challenges of creating a life, previously, he could hardly imagine. Robert called Finn into his study one early morning. I felt warm sitting across from him. In sincerity in the famous man's eyes, all he had ever seen was a screen. Finn, Robert began, I think you have a lot of potential. You are more than just Lucky's exceptional caregiver. However, a young man with a good heart, as well, uncertain of how to react. Finn stays silent. Robert, go on. I have made plans for you to return to school. I think that education will lead to opportunities. That has the possible to change your future. Finn regarded his hands. His whirling thoughts. He wasn't sure because he hadn't gone to school in years. if he was able to fit in, but Robert had no choice but to accept the trust in his eyes. "I'll do my best to have it replicated." His voice was somewhat trembling. Going to his new school's a blend of excitement and apprehension was felt by Finn. The lush hallways and well-groomed pupils made him feel uncomfortable. However, he remembered Robert's support. And that morning's wagging tail for Lucky, he took a deep breath before entering his classroom. Finn first confided the curiosity, and some classmate as whispers a few glances of scrutiny him was unsettlement by snide remarks, however. Rather than reacting, Finn decided to concentrate on his studies. And disregard the taunts in a class on literature, the educator gave out an essay concerning a remarkable experience. A story of Lucky the dog that transformed his life was written by Finn. The freezing nights beneath the bridge were described by him. He saw Lucky's amber eyes for the first time, and how his community helped him get through hardship. During the reading of Finn's essay aloud in class, the room got quiet. Everyone was touched by his heartfelt words. A few students asked him after class. They are expressing regret for their previous actions. One girl remarked, "You're really brave." For the first time, Finn smiled and felt less alone. In this unique settlement near Alex, during school, Finn grew a longtime employee of Robert's estate son, a few years older Alex. I was intrigued by the boy at first, who was originally a street liver. He quickly discovered that Finn was a true and faithful friend. "I've never met somebody who has been through as much as you have." During a walk, Alex said, "But you didn't let it break you. Those are things I admire." Alex's assistance increased Finn's self-assurance. They joined school activities together, and Alex supported Finn. T.O. joined the club for animal welfare in order to motivate others. He shared his story there. As the academic year progressed, Finn outperformed in class and founded a love for aiding animals with the support of Sarah and Robert, the canine care facility's manager. Finn made the decision to pursue veterinary education. "You've got a soft spot for animals." Sarah said, "Nobody has ever shown me such patience. In comprehending them, you'll succeed." Engaged in a program for veterinary training, where he got information and applicable skills every time he went home, he eagerly imparted his knowledge to Lucky. As though the dog were traveling with him, a homeless boy's time flew by. Finding grew as a resolute young man after years of hard work. With goals to achievement, he remained on stage. Upon graduating from his veterinary school, retaining the diploma that represented his tenacity and fortitude, those around him were the most important. He was given a second chance at life by Robert. Sarah, who helped him with animal care, his steadfast friend. Alex, and good for the unique dog who started it all. Finn knelt and gave a tight hug to Lucky. "Buddy, we did it." His eyes were misty as he whispered, "A new life is just getting started." A new journey wagged Lucky's tail. His amber eyes gleamed with comprehension. Finn's shoulder was where the dog rested his head. Exhibiting unwavering companionship and loyalty, Finn went back to the garden after the ceremony, where he and Lucky strolled a lot, observing the clear blue sky, his hope-filled eyes in the future. Finn had not only discovered a home, but also found himself again. His past struggles were no longer burdens. However, motivations are teaching him to appreciate life's positive aspects. The decision was made by Finn to open a small veterinary clinic. Dedicated to aiding injured and abandoned animals, he desired to spread the kindness that Robert had shown him. Lucky and Sarah, giving those in need a second chance. At the grand opening of the clinic beside Finn, Robert stood proudly. "You've done a fantastic job, Finn. I always had faith that you could." Lucky's nodded, glancing Finn. "Without everyone's help and good fortune, I couldn't have completed this." Lucky stood by, gracefully wagging his tail. When Finn first found him, his eyes were as bright as the day. A living example of the impact of kindness, the dog, and how it may change lives. The journey of Finn and Lucky comes to a straightforward, yet profound kindness, and the message love and tenacity possess the ability to overcome any challenge. From a homeless boy and an injured dog together, they created a new life, demonstrating that change is possible at all times when we continue to have hope and be good. This tale serves as a reminder that even a small act of kindness can change people's lives, not only our own, but also other people's. We appreciate your participation in this journey. If this story gave you ideas, share it with your loved ones and friends. And subscribe for more comfortable stories. Stories like these should not only inspire. However, you should also start doing good things in your life. If you have seen or encountered a similar story, thank you for joining us, and please share it in the comments. I'll see you in the following tale.